transcending history and the world. A tale of legendary video games to be ranked. You get the gist. One of the genre's most iconic fighting game franchises, and probably the ultimate casual fighter beyond Smash Bros. From the highest rated fighting game of all time, to debating lightsabers versus swords, and everyone picking on Necrid, Soulcalibur has enthralled the hearts of many for decades now. The series is seeing a bit of a renaissance with Soulcalibur 2 on Switch 2 Online, and Soulcalibur 3 coming to PS5 via the Classics catalog. Soulcalibur 6 just had its 7th anniversary, which is the biggest gap we've gone without a Soulcalibur game. Many, including myself, are calling for Soulcalibur 7. So, why not rank the series so far? But first, some ground rules. We will not be including the Unbreakable Soul mobile card fighting game, just the console releases. Also, this is my list. Not interested in objectivity, sales, or Metacritic, but my personal experience with each title, not the fandoms. So please, keep that in mind as our souls still burn for a new game or HD collection port. That being said, let's get into it. Number 10, Soulcalibur Lost Swords. Free to play, pay to win, monetize, steal your money, bottom of the barrel cash grab. I played it once and that was enough. Gameplay is generally fine, as at Soulcalibur, but there was not much to redeem here. Number 9, Soulcalibur Legends. I'll admit, I haven't gotten far into this one. I love the idea of an action-adventure hack-and-slash Soulcalibur game, and I really wanted to play this for years. However, two things majorly hurt it. It's locked to the Wii, and they forced the game to solely have motion controls. You can't turn them off. It's annoying to play after about a minute. And secondly, it feels like the single player mode that should have been in Soulcalibur 4. So, that game actually had some single player content. I do love the concept and the game looks fun when watching videos, but it's just not. I wouldn't mind a Switch 2 port that allows for normal controls, and I'd play it instantly. And it's cool it still had a guest character. Number 8. Soulcalibur, Broken Destiny, aka the PSP one, aka the one with Kratos, who is represented quite nicely here, but it's an even more bare bones Soulcalibur 4. It's got the roster and even character creation, but variety is not this game's strength. There's some wackiness to the gauntlet mode, but it gets stale quickly, and it's sad the PS5 port has no way for versus, given the PSP used ad hoc. Also, no trophies. Come on. But still, Kratos is a big win. Number 7, Soulcalibur 5. These next two placements are hard for me as they both warrant a lot of criticism. Soulcalibur 5 is actually a pretty fun game to play. The combat feels fast and fluid. It had an amazing guest character in Ezio from Assassin's Creed 2, and Devlin's fighting style for create a character was inspired. Also, it had my main Siegfried, so I was happy, and I like how the game did supers. But also, I got it at a buy two get one used game sale at GameStop for like $17.99, not at launch, and that should be telling. When I, like everyone, heard there was a time jump and there'd be a whole new cast, I was nervous. I mean, it's not a bad idea. Look at MKX doing it a few years later. But this game made the cardinal sin of not only bringing in a mostly new cast, but making them pale imitations of who came before, like new Kilik and new Taki. Some were brand new and cool, like Zwei, but this game could not get past this idea in the mainstream. How dare you stand where they stood, and all that. And they came across as character creations in a main slot. Are some of the new characters fun? Maybe. I didn't really play the imposters. However, the game had a story mode, right? Yeah, but it was awful. Top 5 worst fighting game story modes, which might be a good video idea. But you said the gameplay was fun. Yeah, I had a blast with college buddies in our dorm playing the newest one at the time. But a fatal flaw of the game that I came to discover and made me realize why there were issues later, it cost meter to guard impact. The series stable deflection. So many mistakes here. While I do appreciate the game's speed, the big swings were big misses. And there was hardly anything to do outside of the cringeworthy story mode. It killed the franchise and it robbed it of its heights probably forever, and it even impacted 6 years later, and robbed all agency from the series' height in sales. Speaking of, number 6, Soulcalibur 4. When I tell you my hype for this game was unreal, it might have been unprecedented for me for a fighting game. 3 got me into the series and I had sunk countless hours into that, but next-gen Soulcalibur with Star Wars characters tying into the Force Unleashed, my gosh, I couldn't wait. The trailers were incredible, the hype was tangible, one of my earliest pre-orders, like the second or third of my life, and then it came out. And I don't think I've ever been so disappointed in my life. There was absolutely no content in this game. Tower of Souls was a joke of an expanded arcade mode compared to what had come before. Character creation was now limited to selecting a style of a main character. There was no other single-player mode to do things in. The game was pushing you heavily to play online, which I eventually did, but online was terrible back then, so that didn't last. On top of that, and I don't know if I could have pinpointed this then, the game was much slower than past games, and it could feel off. The super moves were tied to breaking armor, which means you never saw them, and I cannot describe to you how shattered young me was. I felt robbed. So why is it this high up? Well, it does have a lot going for it. To date, I think it's the best looking Soulcalibur game. I prefer the art direction of another, but fidelity wise we peaked here. The stages, the vibes, the tone, the Star Wars levels, the music, and how fun it was to play as Vader and Starkiller. Yoda was a punk due to his height, and the Xbox guest really should have been Luke Skywalker though, with the green lightsaber and all. It had a sense of finality to it, story-wise. It was cool, and the roster was pretty much perfect with most mainstays and some fun bonuses. Looking back, that roster I think is what saves it for most fans. Some characters were hilariously broken, but I don't really care about that. It was also the height of the ridiculous fan service you will never see me champion, and I'm not sorry. Overall, I can see why some love this, but it was a bad sign of the time for fighting games back in the day and the beginning of the end for Soulcalibur. Number 5, Soul Blade, or Soul Edge. Of the mainline games, this is the one I probably played the least. A few times with the Soul Edge arcade version and probably twice on console. And it's awesome. If I'd had this game as a young child with the PS1, it would have taken over my life. That opening theme song is incredible, even if all I think about now when I hear it is Max Dude's intro. There was the expansive Edgemaster story mode, lots of characters, CG endings, and weapon breaking, allowing for fisticuffs. Lots of stats with weapons and such, so many great ideas, and what impresses me most is how much legacy skill from this is carried over to this day. The game was a visual splendor at the time, but it's aged heavily. And frankly, the gameplay was in its inception, so it just got better in later entries. The different names for it can make it confusing to discuss as well, but it's a classic. Number 4, Soulcalibur 1, the highest rated fighting game of all time. The game that eluded me for so many years, being a Dreamcast exclusive, then half ported to the Xbox Live Arcade, and I was a PlayStation guy. But man, playing it now, it holds up. It's fast, it's fluid, it's gorgeous. It killed arcades by being better than them. And the Dreamcast version had a good amount of single player content with that campaign I will probably never finish. Stupid Xbox again for not including that part. Bonus for me, Nightmare and Siegfried are separate characters here, which I will always prefer. What more can I say? It got Game of the Year as a fighting game. Has that ever happened since? But also in my eyes, the series was just hitting its stride, so it's been surpassed. Number 3, Soulcalibur 2. This may be blasphemy to some to have so low, but hear me out. Soulcalibur 2 was my introduction to the series, seeing it in stores, and I believe testing a demo or something in a Walmart. Seeing the different covers on the systems and who had what guest, we all know the three. Link on GameCube, Spawn on Xbox, and Heihachi on PS2. I wish they could have pulled off Cloud Strife, as that would have been better, but it didn't work out. Weapon Master is a hefty mode with a good amount to do. Gameplay is at its fastest and probably most balanced. There's iconic music and stages. Todd McFarlane gave us Necrid, for better or worse, and we even got an HD version of this eventually with 2 out of the 3 guests on one system. And now we have the GameCube one on Switch too. But I do have a slight grudge with Siegfried and Nightmare being a composite character of what we call Sigmare, so I never felt like I truly had my main here. It's just Nightmare. It's a phenomenal game. I played it a good bit, but by the time I owned it, I just preferred what later games had to offer, as I was young and not in the competitive scene. And I'll be honest, Weapon Master mode wasn't ever quite enough for me, despite being cool and pretty lengthy. Number 2, Soulcalibur 6. Hot take. This is my favorite gameplay in the series. Lots more moves and even auto combos made the game more accessible, yet with a ton of depth at the same time. Reversal Edge allows a lot to happen, but can get annoying. The game's graphics are just up-res Soulcalibur 5, but the series went back to basics and had most of who you'd want from the roster. Online was kind of meh, but better than it had been, and I wish it had gotten rollback netcode eventually. 2 seasons of DLC and really cool, not gimmicky guests. Plus, single player actually mattered again. The overarching story was decent, and each character having their own branching storyline was a great addition. I connected with the characters' journeys more than ever. Being an MK9 style new timeline was wise, but it also had the expansive RPG-like Libra of Soul for creative characters that was shockingly big, addicting, and even moving at times. Creative Soul allowed you to not only just use main roster styles, but also the guest styles. With the addition of extra parts, stickers, and more, lets you make some really awesome characters from other series, unique creations, or abominations. I put dozens of hours into making my own characters. It's so much fun. Many hours were spent in this game for me, and I even played in a few tournaments. In the last local regional tournament I played in, I won 3rd place with my boy Siegfried. It was a step back in the right direction for Soulcalibur, and I desperately hope we get a 7th to pick up from here. Imagine even half of Tekken 8's budget going to a 7, making what worked here even better. Before we get to number 1, what's your favorite Soulcalibur game, and do you want a Soulcalibur 7 or a remaster collection? why not both? Number 1. Soulcalibur 3. I've talked about this game at length on this channel. I'm so hyped for its re-release on PS5 20 years later, but let me quickly summarize and you can watch my other videos on it. Series best roster with everyone up to that point, and like 10 unique styles and characters and weapons for bonus characters, and create a character which was incredible. A very cinematic driven arcade mode and Tales of Souls with really cool quick time event mechanics. Series best music, series best art direction, phenomenal costumes and weapons, a ton of unlockables, and a crap ton of game modes for single player content. World competition, Soul Arena, standard arcade, best roster around. Seriously, there's so much here, including Chronicles of the Sword, a straight up tower defense-ish RTS game mode combined with a fighting game with your created characters. Oh, and full CG endings for every character on the main roster. The Soulcalibur game to end all Soulcalibur games in content. The mechanic glitch that allows everything to be safe didn't affect me like it did in the competitive community due to my age. What did affect me was the save glitch with Chronicles of the Sword. Young days of the internet, so every time I encountered the issue, I just deleted it, so I never finished the mode. Can't wait to do that now on PS5. I spent so much time creating characters and imagining their backstories that I even recreated one in Soulcalibur 6 and had fun with them. Thousands of battles with friends, learning to love the series lore, that opening cinematic looking amazing. So much to adore here. The gameplay is slower than 2, but not enough to bother me one bit. It's a personal favorite of mine, and in my opinion has yet to be beat as a complete video game package in the series. Be sure to like and subscribe. Thanks for watching. Curinator Gaming out.